Hello, everybody, and welcome back again to the Alienware Awesome Cup Tournament with yours truly, Slow Wolf, and Four-Court Jester as your casting team providing the coverage. Right now, we've got our first, round of 32? Round of 16? Round of 16, so this is our first best of 3 of the day.
So, of the 128, we're down to 32.
Right.
Because that's what a round of 16 is. So we've eliminated 90-ish, quick math, teams already. Now, that doesn't mean, that the teams are terrible or that they didn't show. It just means that they either didn't show or they lost. They can still enter the next one. So we're really expecting, again, bigger and better qualifiers. But now that we're down to the 16, we have to kind of go through a little bit more of refinement. So these are going to be best of 3s, and they're not all on Aguilon, are they?
No. Now with the best of 3s, there is a map pick and ban system put in place. There will be no 2 maps that are picked and no 2 of the same map. Yeah, and it'll be cool to see something other than the purpleness of Aguilon and different strategies now that evolve from these teams that now have gotten to the upper layer of this qualifying tournament. You're going to have the creme of the creme actually get to doing these extra strategies. So on Serona, you're probably going to have more flying characters and have to deal with the worm denying. On Ribbit, you're going to have to deal with the middle bounce pad and that corridor of carnage. And then finally, yeah, that's actually it. Aguilon, those 2, and that's all the maps we have available for this.
Because the AI stations were banned out.
Yes,
globally banned.
One because it was one lane highway of terrible, and then the last one, and the other one because it's still a little bit too new to call it.
It's totally the map of Raylan. Yeah.
AI 404, not found, and for good reason.
Rip.
Anyway, so we're going into the best of 3 between Team Boss and Team 3-Headed Monkey. These are names that we know well.
Yeah, indeed. So you guys, if you've been watching, obviously, we have been doing 3-Headed Monkeys. This is now our 3rd matchup with them. King Richard, Rourke, and Typhlosion. That's the way to go. But Boss is definitely no slouch. Cannoli, Bad Joe, and Kirby Dream. Cannoli and Bad Joe I definitely have on friends list. Really great guys to hang out with, fun to do solo queue with. Kirby Dream I hear really good things about. But I don't actually have the pleasure of seeing him face to face. But this is also very exciting for me because look at this Boss lineup. Now, it is actually still Aguilon. Aguilon was the pick. I guess I'm not tired of it yet. But this is our first game with Penny.
So, yeah, on Team Boss, we've got Penny, Vinny and Spike, and Coco rounding out an extremely aggressive, gang-centered lineup with a lot of burst damage. 3-Headed Monkey, we have Scoldier, Frog, and Coco. 3-Headed Monkey really going on their Scoldier and Frog and swapping between Lone Star and Coco alternatively. So that's been like their go-to lineup so far. I like Boss's lineup. I think that Penny pickup is going to make things either really, really awesome or very, very weak, and depending on how it's played. But it is Boss. They know they're not. This ought to be good. 3-Headed Monkey, we know how they play. It'll again be a joy to see how they do things. But who do you think is going to come out on top of this? Just looking at the lineup,
it's hard to say because we haven't seen any pennies today. But the lowdown I have is that Boss runs a pretty Boss penny. So if you can get those penny damage amplifications, I mean, you got 2 of the highest bursts right there to go along with her. So already big burst, now amplified means more burst. Even Scoldier, I don't think can hold up to that.
And they're also all incredibly mobile. So it'll be cool to see how 3-Headed Monkey managed to catch up. And anyway, here we go. Game 1, best of 3 between Boss and 3-Headed Monkey as we get into this game. Let's go ahead and see who's on whose team. As you guys know, Aguilon, a very gang-centered game. There we go, a little too close. Bad Joe on Vinny and Spike. We've got Kirby Derby on the Penny and Cannoli on Coco. We've got Rourke on the Scoldier as per usual, King Richard as per usual on the Frog, and Typhlosion on the Coco as the teams start to go up against one another. And we finally see what goes on. Kirby Derby having picked up the invisible, we'll see whether or not that she can put that to good use.
Now, Kirby Derby just immediately right off the bat, he got down into the lane, jumped up right through into the mid, really wanted to secure that invis. But so far, it doesn't look like we're actually going to have a capitalization on it, and already actually used it out. But at the same time, you don't want to give it to an early game Scolder. You don't want to give it to an early game Frog, especially with the amount of squish we have on the team here of Boss. So, as you said, very mobile. I'm looking for some big damage burst combos, and right now it's all about the party lane top.
And what's particularly interesting about this party lane right now is that everybody's tossing out all of these lightning balls and throws, and everybody's zoning as hard as they can, and everybody's dodging. It's like watching people like play hopscotch, well, the jumping over thing. Like it's awesome. Like, this is what side-scrolling can do to a game. It's really a joy to see how all these people are dodging all of these dangers all the time. Invis coming up, and it's going to be Kirby Derby that picks it up yet again. Let's see if they can capitalize it on this time.
Well, yeah, Penny, there's a few things. If you don't know a lot about Penny, she has some really high burst. She does bring damage amplification, but she can also be really, really annoying. She has, like, quadruple, it's not like fly, but float. She can really have some big hang time, and look at the hang time coming out big here. Cannoli's actually going to be the one not looking so health, but it will be the first blood going the way of Kirby on the Penny. Amazing how we were just singing her vices.
Oh, and as she runs away as fast as she can, she's barely going to get out of there. So a lot of low HP characters on Team Boss, but they're going to end up getting out of there alive with the first kill of the game. Blaze coming out with Lightning Ball. King Richard's going to have to go home as he takes a lot of damage. Not enough to kill him, but enough.
So that was almost
to send him home.
There.
Yeah, it was very close to death, and that was really cool. That was really well played by Cannoli on the Coco here. Now look at these items. This is interesting.
Yep.
We've got, for one, we got dash and we've got boots on Vinny and Spike. It doesn't seem like he's set up for Cloud yet, and we might have to stop for now. Typhlosion taking a lot of damage as the Penny, the Vinny, and the Coco all put out some stuff on her, and Typhlosion's going to have to run away. Kirby Derby now up here and pushing, now up on the top lane pushing, and Cannoli now on the bottom lane pushing as well as Boss start to do some tower damage. King Richard taking a lot of it, and he ends up going down to a well-placed double pulse out of Kirby Derby.
Yep. As I said, you can have a lot of bursts, or on the follow-up of that, you can actually be really annoying with some good sustained damage on top of that. That's why Penny is just widely regarded as really, really good. Again, I was talking to Cannoli, I was talking to Bad Joe, and they said, you're probably going to see a lot of Pennies this weekend. And then they entered the tournament, the jerks. So, yes, here they are with the Penny.
And it's the first Penny we've seen, actually.
It's the first that we've seen. I'd again have to get stats on other games, but I would not be surprised to see her either a popular ban or just not a pick that we're seeing on stream.
Yeah, and I'd expect that only teams that feel experienced with Penny are going to pick her.
She's not for the faint of heart.
No, she is the Not with the highest skill ceiling in the game, bar none. She is the hardest to play. That combo system being very restrictive to newer players who don't know what they're doing. As we get into this game, into the 4-minute mark, we've got 2 kills coming up for Boss, and it looks like we're going in for another one. Rourke taking a bunch of extra damage from the pounce and the pulse, but it's going to end up being enough for him. But as well, Typhlosion picking up a kill on Bad Joe, and another kill happening on the Penny. So 2-for-1 exchange in favor of 3-Headed Monkey, who for the first time this tournament that we've covered them, seems to be having a hard time establishing a dominant lead.
And as I said, this is a little bit of the fun of a round of 16. It's no longer best of ones, so now you can actually, you will play out a game and try to counter. You can try to adjust your styles. But, these guys, they know each other. They run into solo queue all the time. They're all names that we've seen over the years. So knowing the play style of your opponent goes a long way. And we've seen a lot of, diamonds in the rough. We've seen a lot of teams that we've never heard of, a lot of players that are possibly new to the tournament scene here in the Awesome Not community. So it's hard to do your research if you don't know anything absolutely about your opponents. So coming into this one, again, both these teams very well known if you've been around the block, and both these teams have. So 3-2 going the way of Boss. It's all about, the big burst Penny play. If they can set it up, like here on top of Rourke, he's just going to melt.
And King Richard now also running for his life as he's trying to get away, but he's almost sandwiched between Kirby Derby and Coco, but just narrowly manages to dodge the pulse. Rourke now trying to deal with Kirby Derby. Kirby Derby proving to be extremely difficult to hit.
See that float? That float right there. Most aggravating thing when you're against a Penny.
Absolutely. Kirby Derby making extremely good use of her high mobility to do whatever she can. She now has no combo charges, though. She's either going to have to go home or pick up some droids somewhere to get those combo points that she desperately needs to be useful at all. On top of that, though, Penny doing a really good job of picking up some interesting upgrades between the Snack Herring badge, which heals her every time she uses a combo point. It makes her that much more durable in these big fights. So it really helps with her positive. Oh, wow, that was so close.
A little unfortunate there for King Richard. The lifesteal, though, goes a long way for the sustain. Not only in these fights will it be some nice burst healing, but over time it just means that she doesn't really have to go home nearly as much. She can let the rest of the team actually pick up some of those jungle creeps. You got the Invis Cannoli here. That's why the creeps aren't actually attacking. But Cannoli, again, also showing us not a ball build here from the Coco. He actually went double superconductor.
Double superconductor out of the gate is a really cost-effective way of getting your left click up, which allows you to deal with droids quickly. It allows you to attack from a distance with Coco, which is rare and difficult. And against the Skoldir, that could be very important. Dash coming out. Rourke now looking for a kill. He's going to get the punch off. Cannoli, one hit away from dying for sure. Picks up both droids, though, and might come back into this fight. Kirby Derby looking for some combo points somewhere, and Bad Joe wanting to pick up some deal some damage as well. But 3-Headed Monkey just going to back off, and they're not going to commit to anything too hard if they don't have to. Bad Joe eating a Coco Ball for fun and for a profit. But
it is damage ball on Typhlosion as a note.
No, Typhlosion going for the typical ball build to really just do the damage that they need to do against these squishier characters. Maybe force them into buying pills instead of the damage that they so desperately want to pick up instead.
So yeah, you know, across the board, we're looking at some of the solar, and right now 3-2. It's still no turret kills yet, but we're really trying on the top lane there. Boss does have it down to its final one, but what a toss on top of the curve there! But it's actually not enough. Wow, the dodge! King Richard actually not able to connect there with the dash, and it looks like Kirby's going to live to see another day for now.
Really well played by Kirby Derby there to just duck under and then go right back to where it was safe. Cannoli eating a lightning ball there, and what was also good was to see how aggressive Cannoli was playing.
Oh, that's a kill.
Yeah, that's a kill. I was going to say how aggressive Kirby Derby was playing in order to get the combo points she needed to survive, using the snack carrying badge to her best ability. Bad Joe taking a lot of damage. He ends up dying right as I go to him. King Richard picking up a droid, and now both teams kind of coming together, and unfortunately for Boss, 3-Headed Monkey comes out on top. 3-Headed Monkey now feeling a little bit better about themselves and where they're sitting in terms of their solar. The teams are almost even, but there's a slight deficit from the who's currently sitting at 700 solar. He's slowly making his way back down from the drop pod.
Now, I was looking at the slight deficit, but at the same time, you also have a slight lead coming out with the red Coco on Cannoli. 1,000 solar now popped, whereas we still only have the low 900s coming out from 3-Headed Monkey. So it's actually very close going back and forth. You saw the ball build coming out as well, though, from Typhlosion, the 490 damage poking there on top of the Vinny and the curb. But it's still no balls coming up from Cannoli. It's still hand damage and now going into Blaze. So he's going more control for the team, and woo, I don't think that helped Curb Derb whatsoever.
Nope, Curb Derb getting caught out. He gets, I believe, lightning balled into the turret and ends up dying. However, Rourke, in the meantime, also gets picked off, and I unfortunately didn't capture that, but I would imagine this, like Vinny did a really good number with his dash that now has 1 rank in Chrome File and Goldfish. His Goldfish tax being all paid up now, so it's going to actually do a lot of extra damage.
There's second Vinny now that's gone Goldfish first.
Yeah, it's a really good upgrade for farming a little bit of extra solar if you can afford to save up the money. Yeah,
right.
the Goldfish tax is important to pay, otherwise it's a completely wasted ability. So you can't always spend everything that you have, which is potentially problematic. Lightning Ball coming out, hitting 2 people at once. That's really good economy. Bad Joe almost dying, but he manages to dash away just far enough for King Richard to not make it, and then he gets lightning balled to death. Cannoli picking up the kill, tying up the board now at 5-5 for Boss and 3-Headed Monkey.
The big difference, however, is that the top turret is down there from the 3-Headed Monkey, so they do have that minus map control, and you can see, again, you know, Team Red, they're going to be supporting that rocket droid up top. They are coming out in full force. Curb is really just poking away there at Rourke, bringing him down to half basically for free. Bad Joe and Cannoli, I mean, they're sitting around. If we have any kind of, you know, big aggression, I want to say, there from Typhlosion, he's just going to get double jumped. But here comes King Richard, still eats a lightning ball to the face, and that base ball is still enough for a pillless frog to actually be very worried.
And he should be moderately worried, all things considered. And I don't know why he ended up going Turbo Tape. I guess he just really needed his NATO to move. But as things stand right now, that's a really interesting pickup from a frog who normally is supposed to go for burst.
Well, the Tornado Tape, Ticker Tape, you know, if he needs it, he needs it. I mean, I'm going to leave all the frog decisions to King Richard. It's really hard to say that he's not an authority on the frog.
Oh, absolutely, and I'm sure that he's using it so that way he can chase and escape. Against this highly mobile team, it's impossible to have a normal NATO
running away from
work. Yeah, well, or chasing, right? It's almost impossible. But having that rank in Turbo Tape is important so that we can actually at least do some damage to this incredibly quick team.
Now, Typhlosion does have the triple ball damage ready to go, so you're going to see 670 pop up if he can actually land it. And again, we keep saying this, mobility, mobility, mobility. It's really hard sometimes to hit a ball when you have so many dashes and movement altering abilities. Like Bad Joe, you can see a ball coming to him, perpendicular dash. You see Penny sees it, perpendicular dash. And now Cannoli, well, that's going to have to suffer that 670 right there.
And he barely gets out of there. King Richard now chasing Curb Derb. Curb Derb is going to get out of there, as well as Cannoli. Everybody on Team Boss living there. And still no extra kills as everyone goes back home to heal on the side of Team Boss. 3-Headed Monkey doing their best. They have overall the same solar level as each other, which is a good sign of an even team.
Yep.
But look at the solar on Cannoli, sitting at 1,400 and farming like a boss.
He has picked up majority of the kills for the team. They're on boss, but at the same time, those auto attacks, those blazes, that all comes together very nicely for creeps, for minions. He has been taking home a lot of split pushing. That's a lot of minion waves now under your belt, and that's going to translate to a lot of solar.
Absolutely, as Rourke takes a lot of damage, he might end up going down, and never mind, he ends up getting away. Cannoli also extremely low. Now King Richard trying to run away. He manages to dodge the pounce. He dodges the dash, and he gets out of there just fine due to a couple of misplaced kills. Typhlosion taking a pounce, and he's going to go ahead and back off now. Pick up some creeps over here. Vinny looking for an opportunity to find someone to kill. He's now got a full damage dash on his person. Oh, if he goes in on that, that was a missed opportunity as King Richard just barely gets away and could have easily died to a full damage dash. Now King Richard's running away as fast as he can. He dashes out of the way of the lightning ball. Now Cannoli's chasing down Rourke, and Rourke's going to get out of there. A couple fists to dissuade anyone from chasing him. Pretty
big jukes on both sides. I mean, we're still 5-5 at nearly the 13-minute mark. We're just passing 12.5. Best of 3, game number 1, and 5-5. This is, I have to say, the closest we've seen two teams today on stream.
Yep, that's absolutely true, and both teams have a very similar kind of.
Oh, Cannoli!
Cannoli going in for the kill, and he gets it, but at what
Coco
cost?
Side. It's Coco side.
It's just at what cost? And as a result, all the Cocos are gone. There are no more Cocos. Cocos are not a thing for the next 15 or so seconds.
Coco balls are for. Well, okay, that didn't work. But
yeah, that doesn't quite work, unfortunately. But cuckoo for Coco Balls? No one's cuckoo for Coco Balls anymore.
Again, big difference, though, is that the second tower for 3-Headed Monkeys has gone down. So we might be even on the kills. We might be almost even on the solar. But again, map presence. We also got another big rocket droid coming out now into the bottom lane. And Bad Joe, he's kind of hanging out, but he's like, without a team, I don't want to do this, which is a very smart idea.
Yeah, and 3-Headed Monkey, they take out that rocket droid as quickly as possible, so that way Team Boss can't support it. Now here comes a big fight. Dash coming in, lots of damage. It's going to end up being a double kill for Typhlosion, but then Cannoli gets a return kill on Rourke. So now it's Typhlosion versus King Richard versus Bad Joe. Bad Joe really wants in on this. If he gets one good dash in a bubble, and that's exactly what happens. Bad Joe picks up another kill, managing to tie up that exchange, making it a much less profitable exchange for Team 3-Headed Monkey. Dash comes out, but it's going to miss. Dash comes out instead in return for Bad Joe, and it's going to hit. So King Richard now having to play maybe a bit safer as he missed out on that particular play. Bad Joe looking for a good opportunity to go in on something here, and yeah, that's going to be that.
Frogs have always been extremely mobile, and you can see, again, just the height built into the jumps there on King Richard. He can get from lane to lane. He can just clean it up, go to the next one, and take a lot of solar into his pocket, as well as defeat a lot of the map push coming out here from Boss. But, you know, if you miss your dash, that's a big component of your burst. So you saw Bad Joe immediately just turn that right back around. And then, as a Frog, you got to play the cooldown game, which isn't always the best game.
It's a very difficult game to play when your most important ability is on a moderately high cooldown compared to some other knots. You have Dynamite that sits at around a 5-second cooldown. Dash, it's like 8.5 seconds.
Yeah, it's a little longer.
That's a great deal longer. Considering how much it does, that's perfectly fair. But if you do mess it up, that is a lot of utility, and that is a lot of utility out the window. On top of that, you have to be careful on when you use it. If you misuse it, it's done. Cannoli taking a lot of damage from a throw. I'm guessing that's attached with gnomes. It is. Curb Derb now looking for an attack opportunity. He manages to dodge out of the way of the dash just before he gets hit by that. Bad Joe now invisible, looking for an opportunity to go in on Team 3-Headed Monkey. Cannoli taking an Earthquake, a Snare Quake to the face, and is always going to be fine. Curb Derb tossing out a pounce. A Pulse. Oh, King Richard, he's going in. He takes a bunch of extra damage. And instead, Rourke's going to be the one to go down. King Richard does go down too, as well as because of Cannoli. And now Typhlosion on the ropes as he gets wiped out by a well-placed pulse into a dash. That is going to be Boss's opportunity to push as hard as possible, netting themselves, hopefully, another objective for this game. And this is an objective-based game.
And this is something that we haven't really touched upon, but since every game has been Aguilon, we have no solar bosses to take.
Yeah, that's true. Not in this map. Instead, it's all about that stealth orb and learning how to control that section of everything. But in this case, right now, like Boss has the middle. They've got the middle. They just won a very commanding team fight. That's a lot of stuff. Cannoli does end up going down though, and
Wore out his welcome.
Three-headed monkey all takes a lot of damage, but that's certainly not going to be enough to kill them. As they pick up a kill on Cannoli. Really well, good throw by Rourke.
The top tower is down to what, 2, 3 bars? It's down to 3, bottom down to half as well. So the damage was definitely done there. Even after that kill on top of the Cannoli, he's not at all really sorry about that. And you can see, like, just look at the difference between the two Cocos. 1,900 to 1,500, but it's 5-item difference.
It is a 5-item difference, and between those, like, depending on those items, which in this case involves left click, actually, with Cannoli going for the left click to be able to farm maybe a little bit easier. Then that, like, all of that stuff is important. Whereas we've got Typhlosion on the blue Coco here and gone straight into ball damage and then straight into Chuck's board. So all damage, no utility. Whereas Cannoli's gone for some of that utility. Curb Derp taking a lot of damage, but gets pounced. King Richard gets pounced out of his NATO. He picks up the HP, but at what cost? He gets sandwiched and gets murdered by the lovely ladies on Team Boss. Penny and
there goes Typhlosion,
and he was invisible too. Good prediction by Kirby Derby to do that pulse. The throw comes out, but it's not enough to toss Kirby Derby into the tower, and the pulse comes out again, and they're just going to push this now as hard as possible with Rourke being the only one left alive. Both the bottom and the top turrets are going to take some damage. Bad Joe taking a decent amount of fist to the face, but he's going to start kiting the Scoldier. And now the
Rourke hasn't hit?
Rourke is in a bad spot. And he ends up getting
word.
picked off for another effective team wipe, and that's going to be both turrets gone at this point if they decide to make that happen.
Bad Joe literally avoided the last 3 Mega Fists.
Yep, he did a really good job of kiting vertically, which is Scoldier's biggest problem, is dealing with vertical issues here. Typhlosion now in a really weird spot where hiding on the opposite side of the map is a better place to hide than hiding closer to his base. So that's never fun.
Now you saw Cannoli there as well, you know, the Coco side throwing a ball to a very baller not. But yeah, best of 3. This is going to be game number 1, but I don't know what you're doing here, Wolf. But look at the core, because the core is in big danger of going down. Cannoli gets himself a dominating win here for the team at 18.5 minutes. 16-10. It was 5-5 at 12.5. Ended up 15-10. But Boss, with the penny play, with that big burst mobile combo, are able to take home game number 1 here in the round of 16.
That was a really well-played penny. Those pulses came out at exactly the time that they needed to be able to do the damage that they had to do, and it was really good. I can't wait to see what they can pull off in game 2. I wonder if they're going to pick penny again, or if it gets banned.
Yeah, that's the thing. Do you now take what you've seen in game number 1, and do you put that under your belt and you say, all right, we got to do a respect ban here, or do you just say, all right, we just got to do the normal bans? It also comes down to the map as well. They do know the map going forward. You know, we don't know what it is yet because we haven't seen it. But going forward into the map, you know, you are going to have maybe some not specific bans. And you know, this happened to be Aguilon, but it's not forced into Aguilon for the best of 3s. Yeah,
and so they picked Aguilon, and Boss made really good use of the characters, went for that damage, and nailed it. They absolutely nailed their execution. 3-Headed Monkey had a hard time keeping up, and eventually Rourke just their team, where it's tossed into Coco, just couldn't pull it off. The Jelly Ink stickers standard didn't work this time.
And you know, again, like you might want to say that Aguilon doesn't have a lot of vertical space, but in the middle, I mean, there's not a lot of ledges at all, right? The only way to get from the bottom to the top is through that jumper pad. We didn't have that limitation here for Boss. They had Vinny, who could just float up. And the penny can actually go from the bottom lane into the mid jungle, almost all the way back up to the top lane, just by herself in her floaties.
Yep.
So, like, you're not really limited vertically. And Scolder, I mean, you talked a little bit about that, had trouble dealing with the vertigo because he's very horizontal with those punches.
Yeah.
So I think it was just a really big capitalization. Like, the team comp just outplayed 3-Headed Monkeys, which is weird to say because, you know, they've been straight wins here on the stream. But now they're looking at almost elimination because if they do drop next game, it's 2-0 and they're out.
Yeah, and then that's it for them. They'll have to try again in another qualifier, which we won't be too sad about. But
like tomorrow,
who knows? They might tomorrow. But hey, maybe they can bring it back in game 2. I can't wait to see what they do.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna set that up. Game number 2 here. 3-Headed Monkeys and the Team Boss. Can Boss clinch it? Can 3-Headed come back? We're gonna find out because the Wolf and I, we're gonna be here all night and we're gonna go all the way to finals. So don't you go anywhere.